So overall consensus, well, I don't know what the overall consensus was actually. There's about 900 comments about this thing. But I think the overall consensus is they want to see if it'll run if we just put it back together.
Yeah.
But they also all understand that at the very least, the camshaft is flat. So even if you put it right back together,
It's not going to run like it should. I think we can make it run though.
we need to put the valve lifter that we took out back in and probably just adjust all of the valves. Just need to look at the brushes and
Make sure everything's, make sure there's nothing, no mouse nest or anything like that inside there that would bother it.
nothing obviously wrong.
Yeah. Make sure there's no bare wires anywhere.
Parts.
Carburetor, I cleaned it up, put it back together with the original stuff just to kind of see if it'll run. But we did need a diaphragm for that fuel pump. There's a kit for it. So we can put the fuel pump back together with a new diaphragm, the gaskets for it, screen for the fuel bowl there, sediment bowl. So I think with minimal expense there, we can put this back together. We did get a gasket set for the engine, but I don't want to open it up. Probably going to use the old gasket with maybe a little bit of silicone on it. At this point, unless this thing just purrs like a kitten, I think we'll be probably taking it apart and doing more with it.
And we have some non-detergent oil.
Yeah, we had
SAE 30.
a little bit of a hard time getting that. Went to the parts store, and of course all the young guys in there have never heard of non-detergent oil. But they did finally go in the back room and found what we needed.
It's not Pennsylvania crude, but
it's oil.
well, it might be. Who knows?
Yeah, who knows where it came from.
Okay, let's get these valves adjusted.
Okay.
This is what the valve lifter looks like on this little engine. We took this one out because we did realize that this cam lobe is starting to go flat. There's kind of a rocker shaft right here that this lifter bolts to. This side here rides on the camshaft, and this side up here pushes on the valve. Well, as you pull it in and out, the distance between where it contacts the cam lobe and where it contacts the valve tip increases. And that's how you adjust your valve lash. I need to make sure that we're on the base circle of the cam on that lobe here. I'm gonna say that for sure the backside here is on the base circle. I can see on this side the tip of the lobe. The intake is supposed to have 8 to 10 thousandths clearance, and the exhaust is supposed to have 10 to 12 thousandths clearance. And of course my gauges here jump from 7 to 11, so I'll be right back. As a busy parent, you want to give your kids a head start in their financial future, but investing is both confusing and time-consuming, so we've partnered with Fabric by Gerber Life to make it easy for you to set up an investment account today for your child that grows with them and helps prepare for their financial future. Fabric by Gerber Life was designed by parents for parents to make it easy to plan for and manage your family's financial path. With a kid's investment account from Fabric, you can start investing in your child's future today. Your kids can't invest while they're minors, but a UGMA investment account allows you to invest on their behalf and give their investments more time to grow. Invested funds can be used for education plus so much more, like summer camps, band equipment, or club sports. Something else that I love is that when they're adults, they can even use their funds to buy their first home or to start a business. So if they don't pursue higher education, the funds can still go to good use. It's all online, so you can set up an account in just 5 minutes with as little as $1 a day. There are no contribution limits, multiple tax advantages, and they're SIPC insured up to $500,000, plus no commission fees and just a low flat monthly maintenance fee. It's also easy to get your family and friends involved in your child's financial future by sharing your child's unique gifting link. I'm encouraging my family to invest in my daughter's future with her account instead of buying as many cheap toys that will be broken or lost in just a few months. Fabric has partnered with Gerber Life, a name trusted by millions of families like yours for over 50 years. So join the thousands of parents who trust Fabric to help protect their family. Start investing in your child today at meetfabric.com/JimsAuto. That's meetfabric.com/JimsAuto. MEET fabric.com/JimsAuto. Thank you to Fabric for sponsoring today's video. We decided the inner two here are the exhaust valves and the outer two are the intake valves. Exhaust valve clearance 10 to 12 thousandths.
What's the intake?
8 to 10.
8 to 10 and 10 to 12?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just going to start with my 10 thou feeler gauge. Did not want to drop that down in. So you can see here how I have to pull that back to make our adjustment. Find me a right hand 7/16 or 90 degree or whatever you want to call it. I realize asking for a right hand wrench makes me sound like I picked something up on my first day as an apprentice and then calling it.
Did you order the can of compression for this thing too?
Yeah, and the piston return springs. 10 thou slips in with some pressure.
Okay.
I don't know how weak the valve springs are. I don't think they would.
That's it. Those springs are probably pretty weak. You're not going to be able to be quite as forceful as if we was doing a race motor with 300-pound seat pressure. Why don't you do it so the 10 will slide in pretty easy, but the 12 is really snug?
12 is pretty snug.
You get it where you think it should be, and then let me look at it.
Why, you can eyeball 10 or 12 thou when you look back in here?
No, I just want to see if my feel is like your feel.
Okay, good, because I know you have glasses that are special for when you're looking at things up close compared to far away. I don't know if you've got the right ones on right now.
Maybe I just need to turn them upside down.
Okay, I'm going to say that's good.
Yeah, I would call that good.
Who knows when the last time it was adjusted is. It definitely needs adjusted.
Okay.
That feels good.
I think you already got it torqued.
Okay, I just want to make sure.
Yeah, it's tight.
Now if you turn just a little bit, we can do intake. Probably be about right there for the front one.
Okay.
I'm just curious how much there actually is there right now. Over 20.
Wow. They may not have been adjusted quite right, or it may have been a very long time since they were adjusted.
It's only built in 1946. I don't know how it could be that long.
Probably this ran much more in the first years of its life than it certainly has in the last 20.
Yeah. So these are supposed to be 8 to 10.
Hydraulic lifters sure made things a lot easier.
Yeah. It depends which side of the cam you put
Well.
your feeler gauge in on.
Since that cam is worn, yeah, it's gonna change where you're going across at. Yeah, and again, depending where you hit across there. Ouch! Pull that out.
Oh.
Pull that out. Thank you. Glad that didn't go any deeper.
You know, this is World War II era, but that was kind of a Vietnam torture technique, I think.
10 is tight going through there, and the 8, yeah, right there, it feels good.
I'm going to put a little bit of assembly
Yeah,
lube. Why don't you spin it a couple times and spread that around?
How's that looking?
Looks like it wiped off real well. That definitely needed done.
Yeah, that I think is going to make a big difference on it. Okay, the other thing we ran into here, this is a little phenolic push rod that goes through that hole right there, rides on the camshaft, and opens and closes the breaker points for the ignition. And I don't think this is the right one. I think that's been changed sometime, because that hole, eyeballing it there, I'd say that hole is almost 1/4 of an inch diameter, and this pin is what, 3/16?
I would say 3/16.
Yeah, there's quite a bit of difference, and that lets it flop around. I think that's going to create problems with the
Ignition.
with the ignition, with the points. So make a note. We need to look into that and see about getting a new one of these or making a new one. Basically, this has a piece of felt on each end there to kind of keep the oil from coming through. I'll just put it in here first. There, start that bolt. So I've got what's left of the old diaphragm here. Ah, that unscrews too. Aha. Now where's the new one?
And I'm pretty sure this is a material that should be fine with our new fuels.
Yeah, it said something about being fine with today's gas. So that can go back on there. That goes on like that. Now then, which way does this go? This will go on that way. Mm-hmm. These springs have to go in. There we go.
So support the fuel pump and fully actuate the fuel pump by hand while tightening the cover screws.
So I need to have it actuated. That would make sense. I'm glad you read that. Always wondered why they put the instructions in. There we go. Put the bowl on. Or do I want to just put the pump on before I put the bowl on? And I'll put our gasket on. Now then, I remember that was a little tough to get out of there. We must have the motor in the right spot because when I took it off, we had to turn it just a little bit to get it off the cam lobe.
Well, it's more a rocker arm. Remember?
Oh yeah, that's right, huh? There we have it. Sounds right.
There's a little rocker arm that goes from the cam to the arm on the pump.
Yeah.
And it's actually really close. It's
Really
kind of
close to the
spring-loaded.
outside.
So we had to rework that and get the arm of the pump actually up behind that.
We got breaker points in here, and there's this phenolic little rod here, and I think it has the wrong one in there because it's way smaller diameter than the hole it comes through and just moves all over the place here. I did adjust them to about 20 thousandths gap, as close as I could.
The book does say set breaker point gap at 18 to 22 thousandths clearance. So that's kind of what you did.
So I think we're okay. We're at least close enough there that I think it'll make spark. That wire is not any extra long, is it?
No. Well, apparently I don't know how to turn the camera on, so I didn't record us putting the carb on. But we just put silicone on the block side and some Hylamar between the NASCAR restrictor plate. We had to pull this out, and it's got another restrictor on it too. Just has a little pinch bolt.
Yep.
Silicone where the cork gasket broke. Acorn nut. Is there a gasket between that at all?
There should be. We don't have one though, do we? Well, I'm not going to worry about putting one on now because we're not planning on running this engine for anything other than just testing.
Yep. I don't know if the camera was on when we were talking about it, but that's just like a crankcase ventilation.
Yeah. Yeah, because this thing, we was talking about how much turbulence it probably has inside the engine with both pistons going up and down together instead of opposite each other. Okay, so do we want to put some oil in there right now?
Probably. So it looks like the oil level is just supposed to be kind of to that top rib there. And we didn't buy enough of our non-detergent oil, so I'm just going to use some GP1. At least the GP1 is green. collars weren't that tight, but oh well.
So this fan has some sort of bearing in here that runs in oil. And the way I read the instructions there is you take this little screw out, and then somewhere or another, we fill that until it starts dripping out. There, it's dripping out back here.
It's all gonna drip right back out.
Snug it right there and let's see what happens.
Snug it?
Yeah. Okay, there we're clearing. That's gonna have to do until we get a new belt.
Okay. So fill us in on the commutator and slip rings and brushes and
Well, you're the one that did the research on that, so
yeah, it was all over my head.
so you probably need to talk about it more than I do. And I don't understand this. I probably should do some research, but there are two different sets. Isn't there two, or is there more than that? How many brushes are in here?
Well, there's brushes on the
There's all kinds of brushes in
commutator.
here.
There's brushes on the back slip ring, and then there's brushes on the front slip ring.
Yeah. So I'm not even going to attempt to go over any of that because I do not understand what they do. I'm sure part of this is the high voltage, part of it's the 12 volt low voltage DC side of the generator. But we have pulled the brushes back. You can unsnap the little spring here and pull the brush back and take
Too much light.
Getting
for
too
me.
much light? Okay.
Okay, but
Anyway, the brushes are in good shape on it.
and the surface itself.
Yeah, the surfaces where they ride, they're all nice, clean. They're not burnt. They're not scored.
Maybe let me see that light.
Everything, if you click it twice, it'll go a little bit dimmer. There you go. Everything about this end of the generator looks good. I'm not seeing there's any issue. Maybe some of the viewers out there that know all about generators probably would tell us different. But for us, just looking at it, I'm not seeing anything that
Wildly.
bothers me. I was a little concerned that maybe mice had been in it and chewed all the insulation off the wires, but it does not appear to be the case.
We want to pull that plate off
Yeah.
and grease that bearing.
It talks about bearing being underneath here that needs to occasionally be greased, and I'm sure this one, having sat for so many years, is probably completely dried out. What do we gotta find? Yeah,
Dang.
there's some old grease there. Oh, it's got a cork gasket on it. That's why it was giving us a little bit of trouble. I think that's pretty good enough.
As good as it's gonna get.
Yeah. Well, I filled my little syringe with electric motor bearing grease. I don't know what the difference is, but there is a difference between just regular grease and what they intend for use in electric motor bearings. And from what I understood, if you mix them, they don't like to be mixed.
What did they use the last
Well,
time?
that's it. We don't know what was in there before, but we'll try to put the right stuff in this time.
You want me to turn it?
Yeah, I've kind of gone all the way around. Let's go ahead and turn it just a little bit. Let's see if maybe I need to do any more. Okay, that's pretty good. Call that good? Think we're ready to put it back together?
I don't think a lot, but let's do it anyway.
I think you think more than you think you think.
Overthink.
Well, now I feel good that we know that back bearing has grease. Okay, so we got all the brushes back in place.
Yeah, we only popped the one.
Okay, well, I just wanted to make sure we didn't forget something. Gotta have the hole open on the bottom for the mice to come in.
Yeah. This thing was definitely green when it was new. Like Wyatt's.
Yeah, that's what I think too.
Even these screws have green on them. Cross thread is the ultimate Loctite. Before we forget, I'm gonna pour some oil in this. We got Pure Guard, non-detergent SAE 30. Don't know if that's right or wrong, but that's what we got. Two, three, 4, 5, and 6. Okay, well, it's over the full mark.
Huh, but that was 6 quarts, huh?
6 quarts. Oh, we need to put water in it.
Yeah.
Now, we don't know. This thing could be cracked and
We don't.
it could be leaking into the crankcase. You want me to turn it up a little, or?
Yeah, you could just a little.
Do you need to?
Okay, shut her off.
Oh. As soon as I walk back over.
It's full. So we've got a little can of gas here hooked up to it, hose over here to the fuel pump. And you probably can't see that there's gasoline in the bowl there, but watch when I manually pump this. You can see it. Oh yeah, I can hear it going up into the carburetor. There must have been some dirt in that hose because it's showing up in the bowl. And we'll hook on over here. Okay, so the switches are all set for manual start down there.
Because that box we figured out controls, it senses if there's a load and auto starts the generator.
Yeah, so this is kind of a separate unit from the generator itself. But if you had this hooked up to your house, I think what it does is if you turn on a light bulb, it senses that and tells it to start the generator.
Okay.
Keeps the generator from running just continuous.
Okay, fire extinguisher?
Yeah,
Chicken.
just in case.
So one of the first things we need to check is that we've got oil pressure when it starts.
When it starts, yeah.
Ready?
I'm ready. We're probably not getting good enough connection. Whoa, look at that. What's the oil pressure?
10. Alright, stop.
That's
What's
something
that?
in the generator, isn't it?
I don't know.
Sounds like there's some dirt or something in it. No leaks?
I don't see any leaks
And what do you
yet.
have for oil pressure?
I don't know. I already forgot.
Go again. No.
Did I kill it? We got 15. Okay. Whatever it is, it's self-clearancing.
I think it's something in the fan, isn't it?
Yeah.
Blowing air.
Sounds pretty healthy.
It actually sounds pretty good. Yeah. Now when you was cranking, I did see it kind of kick back and puff some smoke out of the air cleaner.
Did it?
I hope that's just because the engine kicked back and not because the valves are bad.
There's a little bit of smoke here and there. Every once in a while I see a little spurt of smoke over here, but I mean, it could just be oil.
Yeah. That sounds really good. Well, let's see what happens when we try to put a load on it. So let me go find some lights.
What's that?
This is an old 1/2-inch drill that my dad had. This too came from Ward's.
Hold it down to where people can see.
Oh, I'm sorry. This too, I believe, came from Ward's. It's a powerhouse. 6 amps, 115 volt AC/DC, 1/2-inch capacity, 550 RPM. I remember I was probably about 5 years old. I still remember when my dad bought that. He was building some corral and needed to drill holes through a bunch of the big wood posts and rails that he was putting on it. And he'd been trying to do it by hand and knew it was just too much. But I remember buying this drill at that time was a big deal. That was a lot of money for him to spend. And I'll tell you what, that thing has got some torque. It'll flat wind you up
Yeah.
around about 5 times before you can get it shut down.
What are the odds of us getting electrocuted?
50-50, so one of us will still be here.
All right. See, it does puff a little bit.
Did it?
Yeah.
Look,
Yeah, the light's on.
let there be light.
It is smoking.
What's smoking?
The exhaust is
Oh,
smoking.
exhaust smoking. You can hear it on the engine pulls down just a little bit. That's pretty cool that that works.
Yeah. I'll try this at home.
142. So we're running a little bit too fast. What does it do when we turn this on? Now that brings it down a little bit closer. You know, you was talking about putting in a Tesla charging station.
Yeah.
This may not be the generator you want to use for that.
Not very consistent.
Changes quite a bit with the load. What's the light? Yeah, look at the light, you can see it.
Oh, camera picks that up.
Yeah, it goes up and down a little bit. Just kind of moving it a little bit. I think maybe if we put some new nice ball ends on that linkage, we might be able to make that work a lot better, because there is a lot of wear in this rod here.
There it smokes.
I think it's the linkage.
Yeah. We sprung a leak of some sort.
Uh-oh. You know, that may be just the overflow.
Okay.
So it's warming up. I can still touch it, but so I can turn that up. So it's definitely charging the battery too. Well, I think with a little bit of minor work, that'd be a pretty nice little backup generator. I am really impressed how quiet it is.
Considering the cam is going flat. And
Yeah. Yeah, the fan is making more noise than the engine.
Yeah.
Whew.
Hot?
Yeah. Don't want to hang on to that too long.
Okay. We'll cut it.
So now, should we try that auto start thing and see what it does?
Yeah.
So unplug the light and open up that box and turn it to the auto start position. Maybe that's not what it does.
We might not know how that works.
I don't know. Well, I did find a
Manual.
manual on that. We need to read that one and see what it says.
Kind of a weird looking oil cap you got there.
Yeah. We could see when this was running a little bit of smoke pushing out around the air cleaner here from the crankcase vent tube here. And we pulled the cap off, and man, it's just blowing all kinds of pressure out of there. But should we start it up? I hooked up a couple of electric heaters to it here, and we let it run for a while. Huh?
To see if it'll actually
Yeah,
take
to
a
see
load.
if it'll actually take a load. It's up to temperature. You don't want to hold your hand on there too long. So let's see if it'll start. Let's load it down over here with the heaters.
So you're down to 95 volt, or
Yeah.
95 volts.
The governor does not hold the speed as well as it could. So I can manually give it just a little bit more to bring it up where it needs to be. But kind of what I wanted to show you here is the pressure we're building. You can see all the blow-by gases coming out here, blowing out around this glove that we put over. So obviously the rings are quite worn out. We've got a lot of blow-by going on. It does sound real good yet. I don't have any bad feelings at all about the way the little motor sounds. Running two 1500 watt heaters plus that light bulb. So actually we probably have it somewhat overloaded. You can see our exhaust here is making some smoke there. So I would say the engine is pretty tired, worn. I was kind of wishing anyway it would check out better than it has. I know you wanted to, kind of the sole purpose of why you got this little engine, you wanted to tear it apart just to see what's inside, because it is quite different than we're used to at this point in time.
But would it hum better if it had a new set of rings and some refinished cylinders and some better valves?
I'm sure it would, because when we looked in with the bore scope through the spark plug hole there, we think we could see when the valve was closing, the guide was so worn that the valve was actually off to the side and kind of had to find its way back into the valve seat. So I think we could make it better. And then we need to work on the governor here and get it so it holds the speed just a little bit better.
But it works.
But it works. Yeah, it's definitely worth fixing.
Oh my gosh, I think it's getting worse.
Yeah, I think so too as it warms up.
Wow. Huh. We're gonna try to take enough off to get the head off and the cylinder block off. Maybe just the head first, if nothing
Well,
else.
that's it. We get the head off, look inside. Maybe it'll scare us away.
It might. And then take the radiator assembly or whatever you want to call all this.
The way this is, we're going to have to take the radiator assembly off before we can get the head off.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
We're thinking we can take these two off and then maybe the whole thing.
Yeah. Well, what I was saying, if we can get these off, I'm assuming there's studs in there. If we can get the studs to unscrew, then we could lift this up off the studs
Up there
up here on the head.
and keep it bolted.
And keep this all as an assembly.
More of those nuts that need chromed.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hey, this does come loose.
Does it?
Yeah.
Sweet.
Yeah. Yeah, if I put a screwdriver in here and yeah, it will come off.
Okay, well, I am kind of thinking let's take the head off first. But we didn't know it needed. Uh-oh. The whole stud's coming.
That's even better.
Yeah, but how long is that stud gonna be?
It won't be, well, you get it up that far, we can grab it with some vice grips and unscrew the nut. We gotta be real careful we don't bang the fan into the radiator.
Yeah. gosh. Don't bring the fan into the radiator, he says. Can see it now. For sale, used generator. Slightly disassembled.
This drain I noticed earlier is just finger tight. So let's take that out of there.
Okay.
Haven't you seen those ads on Craigslist that all it needs is put back together?
Mm-hmm. Where'd my nut? Where'd my washer go?
Or if that's the original radiator hose.
That's it. You may have to help me set this down. Okay, those are long studs. Got it?
That is heavy. I don't know why everything on this has to be so heavy.
That made it look so much smaller.
It did.
That fan looks 3 sizes smaller now. I think something's worn out there.
Yeah, I'm not so sure, but that's where some of our noise was coming from when we first started it. This should come off now. Yep. Whoa, that has oil in it.
Let's pop the head off.
Okay.
Think anybody will want to buy this when it's done?
I thought you was gonna keep it in case you need a generator.
I don't need a generator.
What's the firing order on this?
It's either 1-2 or 2-1, I think. And then it goes 1-2. Oh.
There's your little impact.
I don't think the little impact is going to break that loose.
You might be surprised.
I'm not surprised.
Pretty sooty, but they're not, that one's got some buildup on it. Looks like oil. Take it up that way.
Do you have any thoughts? What is that hole for?
Does that go into the water?
Yeah?
I don't know why they would have done that. Let's see if we can wedge this scraper in there. Yeah, it's coming. I didn't want to gouge the block or the head.
Why don't you do some on the back side
I
here?
will. There, we're coming. There it is.
Copper.
Tip it over, see what it looks like. Pretty washed with oil
Yeah.
around the outside there. You know, the cylinders are not worn like I thought they might be. A little rusty. What are you thinking?
I'm wondering if we were imagining it the other day with the camera.
Well, that's what I'm wondering now too. Yeah, it's kind of loose, but it's not as much as I thought it might have.
Just trying to see if any of them looked any. That one kind of looks cupped out a little. Well, maybe a little bit. Yeah. I think it is.
Okay. Just a lot of wear because there's
Oh,
not.
this one's got a groove down it.
It does?
Yeah, feel right here. Feel that? Come look over here. It's not a big groove. There's just 2 gouges.
Oh, yeah, I wasn't feeling down far enough. Got too much light.
Yeah, for me. Yeah, it's got a groove there. It's got 2 right here. Is that it? And then over here, it's starting to get a little scored.
Yeah, it sure does.
It's got the same, just kind of some scoring going on.
Yeah, that's the way this one is. There's just some scoring going on in the cylinder there.
But there's not a huge...
There's not a bunch of ridge at the top.
Yeah, so we'll get blamed for that, for spinning around so many times with it completely dry. Yeah, it was hard to see at first, but there's some definite vertical scoring.
Yeah. These don't have to come off, but they're just kind of in our way. Makes it miserable to work on it, so.
I hope they come out as easy as this one did.
Well, that one did.
Now the question is, have those ever been out since 1946?
I'm almost going to guess that they may have been, considering that one came out when you took that bracket off, because
Yeah.
it had obviously been off before. We're definitely committed now.
Why'd you break one?
When I took that stud out, it pulled the cylinder assembly
Oh,
up with
that-
it.
How much dirt are we getting in our oil?
Probably quite a bit. Can you get that up there?
What are those bolted into? Is it only 4 studs that go all the way through?
Do that again. Kind of looks that way, huh?
Because that's just pivoting with the rods.
Well, if that's pivoting with the rods, lift it off there.
Okay, you ready?
Ain't. You got it?
I got it. Where do I go with it though? Wow, those are some cute little springs.
Yeah, they are.
This one's a little scuffed on this side.
Is it?
Rings.
What I was looking at is in here.
Yeah, right.
That's just clear full of buildup. All that stuff.
Like that's not just from it sitting. That's like
No, that's from years of use and non-detergent oil. I think that's probably as much our oil problem as anything. A lot of times these cast iron rings like this the rail will get worn down to the point that they're actually touching in the middle here,
yeah.
and then they won't control the oil anymore. But I think these have quit controlling the oil because they are packed clear full of all this hard sludge. What about the wrist pin bushings? They feel pretty good. I'm not feeling much movement. Let's take one ring off just for fun. And let's put it down there in the cylinder and see what kind of end gap we've got. Which end do we want to check it from?
You know, we were saying we can probably come up with something as far as valves if we need to, guides, rings, and springs. Those springs are this big. We're gonna have to cut springs in half. And
If we order one small block Chevy valve spring, we can cut it and make all 4.
yeah,
So I was just curious how much end gap we've got here in the ring. Check that out.
that's substantial.
Yeah, what is that?
I bet that's over 16.
At this point, with what we've found, had you just wanted to put the generator together for a conversation piece that you could start up once in a while and show your friends, it probably would have been fine the way it was. But if you actually want to ever use this, I'm glad you tore it down.
I don't think my friends care about 1946 Montgomery Ward generators.
Yeah, there's about 51 thousandths end gap in that top ring.
And wouldn't you typically guess it would need 12
10 or 12 probably.
12 on this bore size?
Yeah. Yeah, that one's just about the same. Now let's check the bottom.
How many compression rings are there?
3.
3 compression rings.
Yeah.
They look like Moline cylinders.
Okay, I've got a little less there. They are a lot like the Molines, huh?
And look, they're like horseshoe keepers.
Are they? Huh. Okay, so there I've got 14 and 15. That's 29. And 16 is what, 39. And 6 is 45. So what did we say we had at the top? 55?
50. I thought 51, but
Okay, well, even if we had 10 different, that'd only be 3 thousandths taper.
it's not too bad.
So we don't have a lot of taper in the cylinders. So there is some scuffing there. You know, even if we honed this and put it back together loose,
It'd be
it would be better. You know, even if we hone it and put it back to loose with new rings, it'd be better than the way it was. Yeah. You know, I've seen keepers like that before and I never knew what they were for. Wink. Almost.
Oh, it is a big spring. it looks so much normaler, curvular.
Yeah. Look at the, so that valve was doing what we thought it was.
Okay.
It's got a burr on there. I can't pull it through. I was hoping you'd say, let me jump up and get the file.
Let me jump up and get the file. Ow. I don't think SBI is going to have I don't know if they're going to have a valve train kit for this.
I was going to say, we might be hurting for parts. There it goes. Now what do you see? Quite a bit of wear on the stem.
Is there?
Yeah. Feel at the end of the travel there.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I was hoping we'd be able to reuse them. But that's pretty excessive.
What does the seat look like? Pretty normal.
Yeah, it's not. There's nothing excessively worn here.
So here you can see on all the lifters the same kind of multiple patterns where they've been adjusted multiple times maybe.
Yeah, look at that. 3. I think you got in your shadow now.
No, I'm good.
But it looks like 3 distinct patterns on every one of those.
Do you think there's any excessive play in the rod from the, like on the crank itself?
On the crank end? No, it feels good.
Well, we figured out 2 things. It did run, and now it will not run.
But will it run again?
I don't know. But we're going to have to pull this pulley off and take the cover off and deal with the governor and everything there.
Yeah.
We're going to have to make a list, but pull that off. We should be able to pull the cam out this direction, not disturb.
Right.
If there are cam bearings, not disturb any cam bearings. Hopefully not disturb the crankshaft at all.
Right.
Not disturb the generator side
At all.
at all. Send the cam off to Delta Cams. See if they can
See if they'll regrind it for us.
regrind it, even if they have to build it up or something.
And we need to make sure we point out to them that there's not a lot of adjustment on this type of rocker arm here.
Rocker arm slash.
Yeah, cam follower, I guess is the right word.
But we could do that. Clean everything up here. And on the block, freshen up the cylinders. Do a valve job, surface it maybe, and put it back together.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
See how that goes off to one side?
Yeah.
That rod may be ever so slightly tweaked.
Well, it may stay that way.
Yeah, it's going to have to stay that way because without having the rod out of the engine, we can't fix that. But if you look at that one, the
It's
wear
straight
is
up and down.
nice straight up and down. But this one is definitely tweaked just a little bit.
Alrighty, well, I'm ready to call it on this because this is a background project. We've got
more important things to be working on right now.
Okay.
So let's plan on cleaning this thing up, get some more parts ordered, and see what we can make.
Machine work in the next video.
Yeah.
Like and subscribe.
See you later.